Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where people race to get ahead, where eyes rarely look up from glowing screens, where hearts grow colder as ambitions grow stronger, let me ask you, have we forgotten how to feel? Have we become so consumed with me, mine, and more that we've forgotten the power of simply caring? Today, I invite you to pause, to breathe, to lean in and listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because in a world starving for meaning, compassion is the feast that feeds the soul. This, my friends, this is the power of compassion in a selfish world. Ladies and gentlemen, compassion is not weakness. It is not an hour V-Date. It is not the soft option in a hard world. Compassion is strength wrapped in tenderness. It is the courageous act of caring when it's easier not to. It's holding the door for a stranger. It's feeding someone who can't repay you. It's forgiving someone who never apologized. In a world driven by gain, compassion gives. In a time ruled by ego, compassion bows. In a culture obsessed with being right, compassion chooses to be kind. You see, the world may teach you to climb the ladder, step over others, win at any cost. But compassion, true, selfless compassion, teaches you that the greatest victory is not over others, but over yourself. When you choose compassion, you silence pride. You break the chains of selfishness. You walk in the footsteps of the greats, not those who conquered nations, but those who touched hearts. Yes, it's easy to be cynical, to shut off the news, to scroll past the pain, to say, it's not my problem. But hear me when I say this, the moment you choose to care is the moment you begin to change the world. It might be a word, a smile, a moment of your time, but for someone else, that could mean everything. The power of compassion is that it multiplies. It grows with every act. You give it, and it doesn't diminish. It expands. It lights a candle in someone else's darkness. And before long, that single flame becomes a fire that cannot be put out. Let me tell you something powerful. Compassion is the rebellion. In a world that says, look out for yourself, compassion says, I see you, I feel you, I will not let you suffer alone. That's the kind of world we need. Not one where we compete for worth, but one where we complete one another in worthiness. So I challenge you today, don't just be successful, be significant. Don't just be brilliant, be kind. Don't just chase greatness, spread goodness. Because in the end, people won't remember what you built or what you bought. They will remember how you made them feel. And if the world is selfish, let compassion be your quiet revolution. Let it be your daily defiance. Let it be the whisper of hope in someone's chaos. Let it be the thing that reminds us all. Compassion is often mistaken for softness, for yielding, or for lacking strength. But the truth is, compassion is not weakness. It is a form of strength that runs deeper than physical power or intellectual might. In a world that prizes toughness, dominance, and the appearance of invincibility, compassion dares to feel. It dares to enter into the pain of another. And that takes real courage. It's easy to walk past suffering. It's easy to turn your head and say, that's not my problem. It's far easier to be indifferent than it is to open your heart. risk rejection, or pour out love without expecting anything in return. But those who choose compassion choose the harder road. They are not fragile. They are fierce in their gentleness. They are the ones who stand in the face of cruelty and choose kindness. They are the ones who look at brokenness and choose to heal instead of judge. Compassion doesn't come from a place of lack. It flows from abundance. It flows from strength that is anchored deep within. You have to be strong to weep with those who weep and still lift your head. You have to be strong to carry another's burden, even while carrying your own. You have to be strong to show grace to someone who doesn't deserve it, to forgive someone who hurt you, to offer help without knowing if it will be received. That is the quiet, unseen power of compassion. It does not boast. It does not seek applause. It simply moves, firm and unshakable, toward the hurting. In a selfish world, compassion becomes the resistance. It takes more strength to be kind in the face of betrayal than to retaliate. It takes more strength to walk with someone through the storm than to point at them from a distance. Those who live with compassion are not fragile. They are forged. They have been through fires, and yet they choose to be healing water to others. The world tells you to toughen up, build walls, and look out for yourself. But true strength is found in vulnerability, in reaching across those walls, in becoming the bridge instead of the barrier. Compassion does not make you weak. It makes you real. It gives you the power to touch lives, to change atmospheres, and to leave a legacy not built on fear or control, but on love that endures. When you live with compassion, something begins to shift inside you. The walls of selfishness that the world taught you to build start to crumble. We live in a time where self-interest is glorified, where people are told to chase what benefits them, and where success is often measured by how much you take rather than how much you give. But compassion moves in the opposite direction. It refuses to be trapped by the narrow mindset of my first. It invites you into something greater, something deeper, a life that looks beyond the mirror and sees the needs of others. Selfishness binds the soul. It keeps you focused inward, disconnected from the struggles and sufferings around you. It convinces you that your comfort is more important than someone else's pain. But the moment you act in compassion, you begin to break that chain. You begin to see people not as obstacles or competitors, but as fellow travelers on the journey. And that changes everything. Compassion helps you recognize that your time, your words, your resources, and your presence can all be tools of healing. The more you extend yourself for others, the less you are enslaved by the need to protect or preserve your own interests. Compassion leads to freedom, the kind of freedom that allows you to sleep peacefully at night, knowing that you've lifted someone else up. It creates space in your heart where bitterness used to live. It silences the voice that says, you're only responsible for yourself, and awakens the voice that says, we belong to each other. When you choose compassion, you're not just helping someone else. You're healing a part of yourself. Because the truth is, we were never made to live isolated, hardened lives. We were created for connection, for community, for sacrifice. That doesn't mean being weak or letting others walk over you. It means having the courage to open your heart, to feel what others feel, and to act when others turn away. That takes a different kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to be loud or noticed, but the kind that moves silently, faithfully, and powerfully. Compassion chips away at the cold armor of selfishness, revealing a heart that still beats, that still hopes, that still loves. Every time you show up for someone else, you're choosing to live free from the chains of me and stepping into the powerful truth that life is richer, deeper, and far more meaningful when we live it together. In a world obsessed with grand gestures and viral moments, we often forget that the greatest power lies in the small, unnoticed acts of kindness. Compassion doesn't need a stage or spotlight to be effective. It doesn't require a large audience or applause. Its power is quiet, yet its impact is lasting. A simple smile at a stranger may seem meaningless to you, but to someone on the verge of giving up, it could be the spark that keeps them going. A gentle word spoken in the right moment can soften a hardened heart. Offering your seat, holding a door, taking a moment to listen. These may appear insignificant, but they carry a weight that cannot be measured by the eyes alone. The beauty of compassion is that it is accessible to everyone. You don't need wealth or status to show it. You don't need a title, a platform, or a perfect life. All you need is a heart willing to care. When compassion is sown into someone's life, it grows into something much greater than the act itself. The person you help may go on to help another, and then another, creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what you'll ever see. The energy you release when you act with kindness has the ability to travel through people, through time, and through generations. That is the miracle of compassion. It multiplies. You may not witness the fruits of your gesture immediately, but compassion works in the unseen spaces of the heart. Sometimes a single moment of empathy can plant a seed that blooms years later. What we see as small, God often uses in big ways. There's a quiet revolution in the way compassion moves. It doesn't force, it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand recognition. It simply shows up in the hospital waiting room, in the grocery line, in the classroom, at the dinner table. And when it does, it reminds people that they are not invisible, that they matter, that someone sees them and chooses to care. The impact of that cannot be overstated. In a culture that measures worth by productivity or popularity, compassion redefines value. It teaches us that dignity is not earned by accomplishments, but affirmed by love. The smallest act, done with genuine care, carries more weight than the grandest performance done for praise. When you live with compassion, your life becomes a vessel through which light enters dark places. You become someone's reason to believe that goodness still exists, that humanity has not lost its heart. In a world that is driven by self-promotion, material gain, and constant competition, compassion stands out as a quiet form of rebellion, while everything around us screams for us to prioritize ourselves. Compassion gently tells us to look beyond our own wants and needs. It's a deliberate choice to slow down in a culture that tells us to rush. It's an act of humility in a time when pride is praised. It is not always loud or dramatic, but its presence is unmistakably powerful. Compassion does not follow the current of this world. It pushes against it. When you choose to care, to help, to show kindness in the face of indifference, you are going against everything this selfish world has taught us to value. In doing so, you are taking a stand. You are saying that people matter more than possessions, that empathy is more important than ego, that love is stronger than apathy. This makes compassion a form of resistance, a quiet revolution of the heart. Every time you choose to serve rather than take, you disrupt the pattern of selfishness. Every time you lift someone up instead of stepping over them, you challenge the idea that only the strong survive. In truth, it is not strength to look down on others. It is strength to lift them. Compassion is not the easy path, and that is why it is revolutionary. It costs something. It demands emotional energy, time, and even sacrifice. And yet, those who live by it find a deeper satisfaction than anything the world can offer. They discover a kind of peace that isn't found in power or possessions. They discover purpose. Choosing compassion in a selfish world means you are choosing to be different. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are being the change. You are becoming a living contradiction to the harshness around you. You're not adding to the noise. You are becoming the calm. In moments where hate is expected, you offer love. Where neglect is the norm, you bring attention. Where judgment is easy, you extend grace. This is more than kindness. It is defiance against the coldness that threatens to consume our society. It is an intentional way of living that says, I will not be like the rest. I will not let the world harden my heart. Compassion refuses to accept that apathy is normal. It pushes back against cruelty, division, and isolation. It becomes a light in the darkness, a soft but steady flame that cannot be extinguished. At the end of our lives, when the noise fades, the crowds disappear, and the spotlight dims, what people remember most about us is not what we built, owned, or achieved. It is how we made them feel. Compassion leaves a permanent imprint on the soul in ways that titles and trophies never could. People may forget your name, but they will never forget the warmth of your voice, the gentleness of your presence, or the sincerity in your eyes when you stood beside them in their time of need. The human heart craves connection far more than it craves admiration. We are not wired to be impressed as much as we are designed to be embraced. Acts of compassion linger long after words are spoken or events have passed. A single moment of genuine care can live forever in someone's memory. You may not think it matters, that your kind gesture was small, that your presence went unnoticed. But to the one who needed it most, it may have been everything. Compassion has the power to heal wounds that words cannot touch. It gives people the dignity of being seen and the comfort of being understood. When someone is going through pain, it is not solutions they seek first. It is empathy. They want to feel safe, to know that someone sees their tears and doesn't turn away. And when you become that person who stays, who listens, who simply shows up with an open heart, you become unforgettable. You become a source of hope and restoration. It is through these seemingly small yet deeply human actions that you leave your true legacy. Greatness is not measured by how many followed you, but by how many felt uplifted in your presence. It's not about being remembered for your accomplishments. It's about being remembered for your compassion. Even the strongest people have moments of weakness, and in those moments, they don't need your resume, they need your heart. They need your patience, your kindness, your willingness to sit with them in their silence. That is what lives on. That is what transforms a temporary encounter into a timeless memory. We live in a world that often measures success by results, outcomes, and appearances, but compassion reminds us that the most powerful impact we can have is often invisible. It's felt in the quiet spaces between words, in the tone of our voice, in the way we offer our time without asking for anything in return.